just trying to survive and learn to love along the way, by Foreplay on AO3. Episode 109, Chapter 109, of Threats and Loss. Shouta grabs the cats on his way to the door. While the kids may be fine for now, he's not sure how they'll feel once they start the debriefing. They'll have to relive traumatic events. He wishes they could just skip the debriefing. But the agencies need his report. It was all he could do to convince them that he could do it alone. Typically, the debriefing is held at the agency, and all the members of the mission must be present. The heroes are only being lenient because these are first years. If they were third-year work students, they would be the debriefing with everybody else. It helps that the heroes are fond of their interns, none of them wanting to see their usually happy students so down about the raid. Their empathy works in Shota's favor, giving him the ability to protect his students a little longer. Nobody looks twice about him carrying 2 cats across campus. He's sure Recovery Girl will have something to say about it, but he's long since gotten over his fear of the woman. Izuku lights up when he enters the infirmary with cats under his arms. After thinking for a minute, he deposits his radio on the bed his son and Shinsou are on, and Toothless on the bed Bakugou and Kirishima occupy. While the kids aren't exactly strangers to his cat, Radio does much better with who she's familiar with. Toothless, on the other hand, is very calming, which he's sure will be helpful for the other boys. Uraraka and Asui are there as well, though he told them that the meeting started a little bit later. It's not surprising. They are some of his more punctual students. What is surprising is where they've chosen to sit. The girls had pulled up chairs to the foot of Kirishima and Bakugou's bed. He thought they'd want to sit next to his son, considering how close they seemed before the sports festival. Of course, Shota's aware of the falling out. Izuku had talked to him many times about how much they changed. And there were moments he was closer to stepping in as well. Every time he got ready to do so, though, Shinsou stepped in for him. So maybe it shouldn't be surprising where they've chosen to sit. He just thought that they'd try to mend the bridges at some point, instead of letting the friendship fall apart completely. If he's being honest, Shouta prefers it this way. He wasn't a fan of how they treated his son, and even if they were to become friends again, he knows that there would be fear. Fear that they would hurt him again, intentional or not. Since we've all here, we might as well get the show on the road. Shouta drags a chair over to his son's bed and seats himself. If there's something you're not comfortable with your classmates knowing, we could do a private debriefing. I simply wanted to do this in a group so that everything can be out in the open, and your friends can support you. Any questions? The group is silent, so he proceeds. Why don't we start with Uraraka and Asui? You guys were together this whole time. Both girl nods. Their part of the raid is all stuff he's familiar with. He was actually there for most of it as well. The only thing he didn't know much about was the part in the evasion once All Might arrived. They both did a good job. They listened to their mentors and made sure everyone they knew was evacuated. You two did a great job. Very efficient teamwork with the evacuation. Who wants to go next? His son shoots up as if he'd been waiting for this question. Izuku's story is easy to follow. While not there for all of it, he had his suspicions about what happened when they were separated. Izuku clearly just wants to get this over with. The way he hugs Radio on his chest is very telling. Even with his desire to be done with the story, Izuku gives a very detailed retelling. He's aware that no detail can be skimmed over, no matter how small they may seem. Shouta doesn't have much to say when Izuku's side is done. This is something they'll inevitably discuss in the future, and he'll be sure to support his son better in private. It's something they both prefer. Bakugou speaks up next, without having to be prompted. He's been signing everyone else's part to Kirishima, so he understands too. And he keeps that up now. Kirishima interrupts a few times to add missing details. Fingers buried in toothless fur. There is one point where he had to take over, because Bakugou had been too far away and out of commission to see what was going on. But he passes it right back to the other boy as soon as he can. And finally, it's Shinsou's turn. Shota's been really curious about this one. He has no clue what has gone down when they got separated, and finding Overhaul holding him hostage. He hasn't said a word since Shota entered the room, despite paying close attention to everybody's parts of the raid. So finally, Shinsou speaks. Hitoshi doesn't see the collapse coming. He was standing closest to Sir Night-Eye, so it's the hero that pulls him out of the way. He hopes everyone else is okay. If something happened to Izuku, he doesn't know how he'd react. Hypnos, are you okay? Izuku's voice is clear and calm. He doesn't sound hurt, just a little stressed. We need to move. We don't have time to wait for them to break through. Night-Eye looks almost bored, idly wiping dust off his coat. Yeah, we're okay. Night-Eye pulled me aside. We're gonna head now, and you guys could catch up. Hitoshi wishes that he could sound more confident on the comms, that all the heroes could hear, but he's a little shaken up. Copy that. Hitoshi follows Night-Eye through the tunnel. They don't find any resistance, which is surprising and mildly concerning. They've got to be getting closer now, so where is all of Overhaul's backup? They find the answer in a few short turns later. There's gotta be at least 10 of them, all unconscious and tied together. The only one is Lemillion. The third-year student had run ahead quite some time ago, so it's no surprise that he beat them to the villain's lair. All it takes is a few more turns before they find the opening. Just outside of it stands Lemillion, looking exhausted. Sir Night-Eye looks as concerned as the stony-faced hero could be. Hitoshi would think it was made up if someone told him about it. I'm fine, sir, just tired. I see. Quirk exhaustion? Lemillion nods. It's hard to get close to him. I had already used my quirk a fair amount, cutting through the walls to get here, so it's kinda hard to keep up long enough to get a good hit in. Night-Eye hardly glances at him before peeking around Lemillion into the room. You can manage. Don't worry, sir. I've got your back. His senpai somehow looks as cheery as ever, as if not about to go up against a major villain. Not nothing, but a nod to his head. Night-Eye leads the way. They're noticed immediately. Overhaul has probably known that Lemillion's retreat wasn't a permanent one, and decided against following. Is it just him, or does Overhaul seem bigger in person? Night-Eye and Lemillion charge. Hitoshi drags back a little. His quirk is all but useless here, where there's no reason for an evil mastermind to answer him. He does know some quirkless combat from their lessons, but in those cases his opponents were fighting without a quirk too. Looking to the side, he finds somebody approaching the heroes from behind, so he does what he does best and distracts them. Hey, idiot! Probably not his best opening, but if the villain answers, he'll be fine. Who the hell are you talking to? The villain answers as he changes courses. Attack Overhaul. He can see the second his word takes effect. The villain once again changes directions. He passes by the heroes and goes straight for his boss. Overhaul knocks him aside. The action, seeming so absent that Hitoshi wonders if the man ever realized he performed it. No matter, there are other villains here too. And if Hitoshi knows anything about villains, it's that they love to hear their own voice. It's not long before Overhaul catches on. The man practically ignores the two attacking him and sets his sights on Hitoshi. Before he could even blink, there's a glossy, transformed arm wrapping around his middle. It bashes his head on the concrete, and the next thing he knows, he's being held up as a shield as Overhaul tells the others not to move. If you're all good, maybe I won't have to rearrange this young hero. If you're not, you won't even recognize him when I'm done. Overhaul's voice carries to the others, yet it feels like it hissed directly in his ears. Hitoshi knows better than to struggle. He's seen what the man's quirk can do, and he doesn't want to end up like his victims. Sir Night-Eye doesn't listen. Hitoshi doesn't see what happened, but Night-Eye is on the ground, not moving, as Lemillion stands protectively in front of him. Shouta does his best to keep his face neutral, as he can, while Shinsou finishes his story. He's not pleased with how things turned out, So many of his kids separated from him during the raid. They all had their life threatened one way or another. It's not something he expected when he accepted the invitation to join the raid. When he signed off his students participating. His students are all pale when Shinsou finishes. They all learned a lot of unfortunate things today, and he loathes to add to that, but there's something Shouta has been keeping from them. There's one more thing you guys need to know today. He makes sure he has all their attention, and that he signs as he speaks, so Bakugou doesn't have to translate this. Sir Night-Eye didn't make it to the hospital. Okay, so Night-Eye still dies. Also, for a second there, I was scared when I read Sir Night-Eye didn't listen. I was scared that what was gonna happen was that, as a warning, Overhaul would kill Hitoshi and then bring him back, because that's something he can do. At least I'm pretty sure that's something he can do. It's mentioned a lot in different fanfictions, and I'm pretty sure it's something that he did to Eri a lot. And I'm like, oh god, because I know a lot of fanfictions that do that, right? There's one where Izuku got killed and brought back, and killed and brought back, and killed and brought back multiple times. And Overhaul explained how, yeah, no, this is supposed to debilitate someone because you're going through so much pain and then being brought back, and then pain and then brought back, and then pain and then brought back, to the point where there is no way that you're not going to be absolutely distraught about and emotionally and physically just so pained and stopped. But in that fanfiction specifically, Izuku wasn't. Izuku just got back up and started fighting again, and Overhaul was like, what the fuck? And Izuku was like, yo, this hurt a lot, but, like, I've been through worse, so hee hee ha ha, let's fight. So I'm just scared. But, not scared, but I'm just glad that it wasn't that. I was scared for a moment that it was gonna be that, but no. It's children, I love them so much. Okay. Chapter 110 is of Meetings and Dragons. So chapter 1110, I'm just gonna say 110. No, I think I'll say chapter 110. Yeah, of Meetings and Dragons. So, Shota's not always pleased with Nezu's decision. So why should today be any different? Okay, so, Nezu does something. Also, Night-Eye died in this. I thought he wasn't gonna die, but I guess he died. Oh well. Anyways, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.